Thanks for joining us this morning. So we're excited to speak about the Emergency Relief Program Phase 2, which is going to have a new expiration date for accepting applications, which is July 14th. So we're excited to still have a little bit of time to do this presentation. And this is our first one that we're doing in English and in Spanish. So thank you for being here with us. And I'd like to introduce Marcos.
Hola, buen día. Es un placer estar en comunicación con ustedes. Hoy vamos a hacer esta presentación en español e inglés. Como mencionó Kate, la aplicación se ha extendido hasta el 14 de julio del 2023. Primeramente era en junio, 2 de junio, pero bueno, así que acá estamos para compartir de qué se trata este programa de socorro, de ayuda, de asistencia para agricultores.
So our session is being recorded today and will be available publicly. We'll have it for sure on the Farmer Veteran Coalition YouTube channel. We do also provide technical assistance in 20 other languages. So if Spanish or English is not your preferred language, we can also provide that through our language line service. And you would just call the Farmer Veteran Coalition toll-free number and just request whatever language you prefer, and we can accommodate that.
Esta presentación va a estar disponible en YouTube. Además, tenemos asistencia técnica en 20 idiomas diferentes. Y bueno, va a estar, está siendo grabada para todo el público.
And I'll have Marcos share in English and in Spanish about where he works at the Flower Hill Institute.
Bueno, Flower Hill Institute is a native-led organization based in New Mexico, nonprofit. We are associated with several groups and collaborators and state-based organizations throughout 20 states. And we are involved in different programs with FSA. Also, we have a lot of expertise in meat and poultry processing programs and technical assistance in agriculture. En Spanish, Flower Hill Institute fue fundada en 2016, una organización nativoamericana sin fines de lucro basada en Nuevo México. Flower Hill Institute comprende una iniciativa de carácter nacional con miembros activos, colaboradores y organizaciones estatales, empresas e instituciones en 20 estados. Tenemos recursos de librería con videos de agricultura, procesamiento de carnes y aves y asistencia técnica de la oficina del FSA.
And I'm lucky enough to just start to have worked with the Farmer Veteran Coalition. I've worked with them for many years as a farmer and as chapter leadership where I come from in New England. We recently relocated our farm to Tennessee, so I'm working out of the Southeast right now. And the Farmer Veteran Coalition is a national organization, but also has state chapters. So we have boots on the ground in a lot of states and in all regions of the United States. There's a lot of different offerings that the National FVC brings to veteran farmers through apprenticeship program, education for new and beginning farmers, and then also support for farmers that have been doing it for a long time. We have outreach to over 30,000 members. With this program, we're providing case management through technical assistance so we can help people who are interested in the program, want to find out if they qualify, and even help them fill out forms and connect them with other USDA programs if this one isn't a good fit. With this program, we're doing outreach events in our local communities and around the nation. We're doing webinars like this and podcasts. We're lucky enough to also be collaborating with other organizations that are just as passionate and are helping us reach more farmer veterans. And one of the biggest things and takeaways with this program that I want to emphasize is that if the ERP2 program doesn't seem like a good fit, the USDA and FSA has a vast amount of programs, so we can help you find something if this one isn't quite a match.
The Farmer Veteran Coalition es un grupo de alcance nacional que tiene 30.000 miembros en diferentes filiales estatales, creando eventos de información, webinarios y podcast. También proveen asistencia técnica personalizada a los miembros que necesiten ayuda. Colabora con otras organizaciones asociadas de diferentes espectros. Además está conectado con proveedores de la oficina local del FSA y USDA, y en el caso que los recursos disponibles para el ERP de fase 2 no sean lo que aplica para este agricultor, hay diversos otros programas que se pueden proveer ayuda y que pueden en cierto momento aplicar para este agricultor en necesidad.
So Flower Hill is offering office hours. These are an informal time where you can come for just asking one question, or you can sit in on the entire hour. It's open to try to accommodate the incredibly busy, tight schedule that farmers have, especially this time of year. So the office hours are open to anyone. You don't have to be applying for any of these programs, but maybe you have an interest of wanting to apply in the future. So they're going to be, they're monthly. And this month, June 21st, is on crop acreage reporting. They're held from 3 to 4 p.m. Central Time. And we can get you more information on that. You can email us, and we also share this through our social media channels as well. You can always give us a call.
Flower Hill Institute tiene ha organizado reuniones semanales a través de webinarios con las oficinas de FSA, siendo los intermediarios para que exista esta conexión directa con las oficinas de FSA. Entonces hacemos mensualmente webinarios en los que proveemos diferentes informaciones que son de carácter importante para los agricultores y ganaderos, y cada mes se están haciendo diferentes tipos de temas que se eligen. Por ejemplo, el 21 de junio va a haber se va a basar en lo que es el reporte de acres. El 19 de julio va a ser acerca de diferentes formularios, en este caso el 860. En agosto 23, requisitos de vinculación, cuando se obtienen algún tipo de subsidio por desastres naturales. Y los horarios son de 3 a 4 p.m. Horario central, y definitivamente pueden participar, hacer preguntas a las oficinas de FSA que están disponibles en ese momento. Nos pueden seguir por redes sociales, se pueden comunicar con nosotros por emails o llamarnos telefónicamente también.
So some farm facts for this webinar is that the U.S. has a census of agriculture that farmers are asked to fill out. So this information is a few years old, and the pandemic has influenced some of the census of agriculture data that we have in. But there's over 100,000 producers who identify as Latino, farming over 32 million acres of farmland. And one interesting fact about the Latino population of farmers in the US is that they tend to be a lot younger than the average age of farmers in general in the US. And some of that might be reflected also in they have a little bit higher access to internet than average the general population of farmers in the US. So most of these producers are located in Texas, California, New Mexico, and Florida. And then Flower Hill Institute is heading to Puerto Rico soon. And we've been talking with a lot of our Farmer Veteran Coalition members that are on the island, and most of them have shared that there is a decline in small farms. So there were 20,000 in 1998, and now it's down to 8,000, and even less than that now a few years later, because that data is a few years old.
Ahora queremos compartir un par de estadísticas de agricultura que hace el USDA, y en un censo que se llevó a cabo en el 2017, En Estados Unidos tenía más de 100.000 productores que son hispanos, se identifican como hispanos o de origen español. También labrando 32 millones de acres. Estos productores tienden a ser más jóvenes que el promedio nacional. También la data estatal detalla que la mayoría de los productores hispanos o latinos se encuentran en Texas, California, Nuevo México y Florida, y usualmente tienen un acceso a Internet mayor que el resto de la población. En Puerto Rico, cierta información recabada por el Censo Agropecuario del 2018 demuestra que ha habido un gran declive de las pequeñas granjas. En el 1998 eran 20.000 y ahora en el 2018, este último censo que se llevó a cabo, han llegado a 8.000. Una gran disminución de las granjas.
So the goals for the ERP2 program between cooperators like Flower Hill Institute and the Farmer Veteran Coalition our goal is to reach as many farmers as possible and share the FSA resources that are available to all of us. So we're working to identify, educate, and provide that technical assistance through case management to all of our Farmer Veteran Coalition members. But we're open to working with all farmers, and we have collaborators like Flower Hill Institute who can help other farmers who may not be Farmer Veteran Coalition members. And we want to help people enroll in appropriate risk management program for their operation. So that might look like disaster management, it might look like learning about insurance program, and then also learning about how to use these programs that FSA has available, and also the tax implications with them that go along with it.
Tenemos objetivos compartidos en este programa de ERP2 con los diferentes colaboradores que estamos trabajando y organizaciones. La intención es alcanzar la mayor cantidad de agricultores posibles, proveyendo la mayor asistencia posible que podemos ofrecer. Compartiendo recursos y programas disponibles a través de la oficina de FSA, concientizando, proveyendo asistencia técnica y educación. Esa es nuestra meta principal. Pero también además proveer el apoyo que el productor necesita para en todas las facetas de la implementación de estos programas. En este caso sería identificar, educar y proveer asistencia técnica de nuestros veteranos, los veteranos, a través de todas las facetas del programa de FSA, y proveer asistencia técnica a productores enrolados en los diversos programas de prevención de riesgos para sus operaciones. En este caso sería seguros y los requerimientos para obtener después de la implementación de estos programas.
So there's a lot of programs, as we mentioned. There's some that are specific to the pandemic and assistance related to that. The emergency relief program more has to do with weather changes. So one of the most important things when you consider applying to this program is to understanding, I think, how much money you could benefit from, and make sure that it's worth your time, because farmers' time is incredibly valuable. So right now, the ERP2 phase 1 payment, or phase 2, but payment number 1 is going to be capped at $2,000. So if your claim was formulated that your total payment would be $1,800, you would just get that $1,800 in one lump sum, and the program would be ended. But if you're a larger, medium to large farm operation, and say you're calculated to need $48,000, you're going to get $2,000, and that's sort of a guaranteed amount. But then that additional amount is going to be calculated once they know how many people are going to be applying to the program. And so it's a little unsure how much you would actually get. So that $2,000 amount is what's kind of guaranteed from them. But after that, the second payment is a little bit more unclear at this time. And so this is just to ensure that the funds that are there, they're limited funds, and so they're more equally distributed. So FSA is going to be letting you know what the second payment would look like, but there's no guarantee, just depending on how many people take advantage of this program.
Este programa de ERP fase 2 tiene un límite de pagos que se divide en dos partes. El pago inicial tiene un límite de $2,000 y el segundo pago se basa en lo que quede después del reparto general. Por ejemplo, si la solicitud ha sido por $1,800, se pagan los primeros $1,800 primero y después, pero si es un productor que ha hecho una solicitud por un costo mayor, por una pérdida mayor, digamos en este caso $48,000, se le pagarán los $2,000 al principio y después de lo que quede, de todo lo que se ha repartido, se pagaría el resto. Eso no significa que está asegurado que se pagaría el resto. Todo depende de los fondos que están disponibles después de haber hecho el reparto y lo que se haya distribuido. Pero no está garantizado que el segundo pago se haga.
So when someone calls my office to find out if ERP2 is a good fit for them, there's a few standard questions that I will ask you. So did your farm experience a qualifying disaster? Did the disaster occur in 2020 or 2021? Have you ever worked with your local FSA office? Did your farm have less gross revenue in 2020 or 2021 in comparison to 2018 and 2019? And we've talked about if you raise a qualifying crop. So ERP2 is intended to help farmers who experienced a decrease in revenue due to eligible crop loss that was caused by a qualifying disaster event. This program is a little bit more tailored towards diversified farms, direct markets, and other farms that don't always benefit from some FSA programs. This program, again, ends July 14th, and it does not provide any assistance for crops intended to be grazing. Another key point of this program is that these need to be crops that you intended to market. So if you're a self-sufficient farm just raising food for your family, more of a homestead operation, this doesn't really apply. But this program is for things that you intended to have for sale.
Cuando alguien nos contacta para verificar que si este programa de ERP2 aplica para sus operaciones y las pérdidas que hayan sufrido, tenemos un formulario, ciertas preguntas por las que vamos en general para verificar que este sería el programa correcto. Por ejemplo, ERP fase 2 tiene la intención de ayudar a productores que han experimentado una merma de ingresos debido a desastres naturales, calificados como tales, ¿no? Donde se han experimentado pérdidas de cultivos. La existencia de este programa es para proveer ayuda a granjas diversificadas, comerciantes directos y demás que tienen a beneficiarse de los programas con desastre provistos por el USDA o Seguro de Cultivo Federal. El enrolamiento termina se extendió nuevamente de junio 2 a ahora julio 14 del 2023, pero no provee ayuda para cultivos con intención de pastoreo. El checklist que tenemos dice si tu granja experimentó un desastre calificante, el desastre ocurrió en los años 2020-2021, has trabajado con alguna oficina de FSA anteriormente y debido a este desastre natural, si tu granja ha tenido un menor ingreso en el 2020-2021 comparado al 2018 al 2019. Este programa no aplica para personas que hacen producción para consumo propio. Solamente es para los que van a comercializar los productos.
So I find as a farmer, when I've been looking at FSA forms, there's certain terminology that can sometimes confuse me. And these are some terms that come up over and over and over again with the ERP2 program. So eligible crops, that can be different depending on what program FSA is offering. So this particular ERP2 program, this is how they're defining eligible crops. So it's specialty crops, high value crops, and other crops grown with an intended use of grain, silage, or forage. They all need to be, again, intended for the commercial market. They also refer to the benchmark year quite a few times. So the benchmark year is just tax year 2018 or 2019. The farmer can select which year you want to use as the benchmark year. And this year is just to represent a typical year of your farming operation. And we do have the ability to walk people through an adjusted benchmark year. So if there is some problem with using 2018 or 2019, we can work with you for that problem. Allowable gross revenue, so that includes revenue from any sources that might be on your Schedule F form. That tax form is not required. It just makes filling out this FSA form a little bit easier. So all of the gross revenue that would be included would be sales of eligible crops, including value-added commodity, sales of eligible crops purchased and resold with a change in character, crop insurance payouts, and then any other government payout that you receive during that time. So that would be like NAP payments, for example.
Cuando estamos hablando de diferentes programas del FSA Office y USDA, hay cierta terminología y vocabulario específica que a veces puede ser complicada porque no se utiliza usualmente, ¿no? Pero en este caso, para ERP2 tenemos ciertos de estos términos, en este caso, digamos, cultivos elegibles. ¿Cuáles son los cultivos elegibles? Cultivos de especialidades, frutas, nueces, vegetales, hierbas culinarias y especias, plantas medicinales, floricultura, horticultura, cultivos de alto valor y otros cultivos producidos con intención de uso como grano, silaje o forraje. Todo tiene que haber sido para ser comercializado, ¿no? Esa es la intención, no para consumo propio. Otro de las otras vocabularios que utiliza es el año de referencia. El año de referencia significa el año de la declaración de impuestos. En este caso sería que es el año que se toma como referencia, el 2018 o el 2019. El agricultor puede seleccionar el año de referencia más conveniente que demuestre un año típico de ingresos de sus operaciones agrícolas. Y otro de los términos es ingresos brutos permitidos. ¿Qué son los ingresos brutos permitidos? Son los ingresos de varios recursos. En este caso se puede utilizar el formulario de Schedule F de los 100 ventas de cultivos elegibles, incluyendo commodities agregado, ventas de cultivos a kilos para un cambio de características, pagos por seguros de cultivos y cualquier tipo de pago gubernamental recibido antes de tiempo. Estos pueden ser programas como seguros, como NAP, ELAP, etc.
So this program also has a linkage requirement. So that's just a part of this program that you need to participate in order to get your payout. So you must obtain some sort of crop insurance or similar coverage for the next 2 crop years. If you change and decide not to grow that crop any longer, then you don't have to do it. But if you're continuing to grow the crop, so if you claimed a disaster on your strawberry crop and you keep growing strawberries, you must have some type of insurance on that. There's quite a bit of options for that, and they have different pricing. So we can also go over that. There's the FSA form 522. So you fill out that and sign a crop insurance or a NAP coverage agreement. And you also need to file crop acreage report during those linkage years. So the types of coverage that you can obtain are crop insurance, non-insured crop disaster assistance program. So that's what NAP stands for. And there's also whole farm revenue protection called WFRP coverage. And so those are your options for participating in the program. Oh, Marcos, you're just on mute.
Perdón. Cuando uno empieza a participar en este programa de ERP2 de fase 2, hay ciertos requerimientos de vinculación que requiere el gobierno para recibir estos pagos. El productor debe tener alguna forma de seguro de cultivo o de cobertura similar por 2 años consecutivos de siembra para cada cultivo elegible que sufrió pérdida debido a un evento de desastre calificante, ¿no? Los formularios en este caso son el FCA 522. Los productores tienen que llenar y firmar un acuerdo de seguro de cultivo y ONAP, en este caso, y productores deben presentar un reporte de acres durante los años de vinculación. También el tipo de cobertura. Los productores deben tener primero un seguro de cultivo, programa de asistencia de ayuda para cultivos no asegurables o cobertura de protección de ingresos de toda la granja. Esos son los tipos de cobertura que existen.
So to find out if you qualify, you just have to ask yourself, did you suffer a crop loss due in whole or in part to one of the qualifying disaster events? And did that occur in 2020 or 2021? The crop loss must have resulted in a decrease of allowable gross revenue in the disaster year. So you made less money compared to a typical year, which would have been in 2018 or 2019, which are those benchmark years. And then did you produce an eligible commodity, crop, a tree, bush, vine? This program excludes livestock, livestock byproducts like dairy. It also excludes timber and crops for grazing.
Para saber si uno califica para este programa, tenemos este formulario que primero va a sufrir, que uno nos basamos para saber si uno sufrió pérdidas de cultivos enteramente debida o en parte al evento de desastre natural calificado durante los años 2020-2021. De ser así, pasamos a la segunda pregunta. La pérdida de cultivo resultó de una disminución de ingresos brutos permitidos, de ingresos brutos permitidos en comparación con los años impositivos del 2018 y el 2019, que representan un año típico de ingreso. Y el tercero es si el commodity o el producto, el cultivo que se está haciendo, califica. Los cultivos elegibles en este caso son árboles, arbustos y vides. Definitivamente excluye ganado, subproductos de ganados, lácteos, madera y cultivos de pastoreo.
So we also discussed what qualifying disasters are, and it's pretty much a long, inclusive list of all the worst things that could happen weather-wise to your farm: flooding, hurricane, wildfires, blizzards, qualifying droughts. And we have a list of the droughts that are qualifying droughts. So if you want us to look it up by your county, we can do that. But again, the disaster would have had to happen in 2020 or 2021.
¿Cuáles son los desastres calificantes? Bueno, hay una lista bastante extensa de todos los desastres naturales que deben haber ocurrido en el 2020 y 2021. Por ejemplo, sequía, derecho, tempestad, calor excesivo, humedad excesiva, inundación, helada, huracanes, exposición a humo, incendio forestal, tormentas de invierno. Podemos ver en la lista del USDA si el subcondado aplica o está incluido en esa lista de desastres naturales calificantes.
So what forms do you need to fill out for this program? The FSA forms all have numbers associated with them instead of names. So this is the FSA form 521. So that needs to be submitted to your county at your local FSA office by July 14th. And then there's also a form, the FSA 522, and that form is where you indicate what crops suffered the disaster and you agree to provide insurance for them for the next 2 years. That's the linkage agreement piece.
Cuando viene a la parte de los formularios a llenar, existen dos formularios muy importantes, que estos son el FC521, que debe entregarse en la oficina del condado hasta el 14 de julio del 2023, y el segundo es el FC522, productor, en el cual el productor debe indicar qué cultivos específicamente sufrieron por el desastre y aceptar de proveer seguro para ello por 2 años consecutivos.
So the Farm Service Agency has a list of forms that are really good to fill out before you need them. You generally need to update them if there's any significant changes in your farm operation. Some of these forms you need to update yearly, but a lot of these are sort of a stagnant form. And once you have these forms filled out, then it makes applying for these programs much easier and more convenient and less time consuming. So I just wanted to go over the forms. These are the 5 most common forms, and these are often used on many different FSA programs. So one is the form 2047. That's a really easy form to fill out. It's just identifying information. It's your name and your address, your farm location, and that's going to help you get a farm number, which is vital for when you're working with FSA. You have to have a farm number. There's the CCC 902, and that's your operating plan. That's a common USDA form as well. There's the 1026 that has to do with wetland riparian zones and just basically lining those out. That form is also often used with NRCS programming, so that's the highly erodible land form. Then there's the CCC 901. This form isn't always applicable to every operation. It just kind of depends on how your farm is structured, but it's the member information for legal entities form. And then there's a form that will apply to many of our FEC members, and that's the CCC 860, the socially disadvantaged farmer or rancher form. And that's one that's often really important for getting funding for our Farmer Veteran Coalition members, especially if you're a beginning farmer.
FSA tiene una lista de 5 formularios comunes que son importantes de llenar, no solamente para esta ocasión, pero para los otros programas existentes. El formulario AD 2047 es fundamental, es la información de que identifica del cliente, en este caso sería el Farm Number. El formulario CCC 902 es un plan de operaciones de la granja, muy común en el USDA. El formulario AD 1026 certifica de conservación de tierras altamente eracionables y conservación de pantanos. El formulario CCC 901 es la información legal de los miembros de la entidad, si aplica, por supuesto. Y el formulario CCC 860 es para productores, en este caso que son socialmente desatendidos, minorías. Y por supuesto, sí es aplicable.
So the FSA has veteran guidelines. Obviously, you have to have served in the armed forces, but you also must not have operated a farm or ranch for more than 10 years. So it's sort of a veteran beginning farmer guideline. And for you to qualify as a veteran farmer rancher, at least 50% of the ownership interest in the farm has to be with the veteran.
FSA tiene ciertos requerimientos para los veteranos, para ser considerados veteranos. En este caso debe haber servido en las Fuerzas Armadas, no debe haber operado una granja o rancho por más de 10 años, o debe haber obtenido el estatus como veterano durante los 10 años previos. Para que una entidad califique como operaciones granja o rancho de veteranos, al menos 50% de la propiedad debe ser de un miembro que califica bajo la definición de granjero o ranchero veterano.
There's also a limited resource farmer. So to qualify for this program for year 2020, disaster year 2020, The farmer must be a person whose direct or indirect gross farm sales didn't exceed $180,000 in the calendar years 2017 or 2018. And your household income must have been at or below the national poverty level for a family of 4 in both 2017 and 2018. So that's a program that's also available as part of a qualification for some programs.
Otro de los calificantes sería el productor de recursos limitados. Para calificar como tal, para el año de desastre 20, el productor debe ser una persona de sus ingresos directos e indirectos no superen los $180.300 en los años 2017 y 2018. Y el otro es el ingreso total del hogar del productor debe haber sido igual o menor al nivel nacional de pobreza por una familia de 4 en ambos años, 2017 y 2018.
And if you need assistance with farm tax help, there's a cooperator that we're working with, Farmers Outreach, ruraltax.org. The Small Business Administration has a specific veterans outreach program. Throughout the nation, there's Land Grant University and there's extension programs. So if you look up a video on YouTube from one of those Land Grant University extension programs, they're often quite good. There's also a finance, tax, and asset protection program at agftap.org.
En el caso de necesitar ayuda de impositiva agraria, hay varios recursos disponibles. En este caso están detallados en esta presentación, donde hay diferentes opciones para conseguir asistencia. El farmersoutreach.org, ruraltax.org, Small Business Administration tiene un centro de información para negocios de veteranos, y después otros programas más, agricultura financiera, impuestos y protección de activos, y la página está ahí en la presentación.
So if you're interested in getting assistance, what you'll do is you'll just go onto one of our websites and there's a button to request technical assistance. And on the left there, that's what the form would look like. It's very basic. We just get some of your contact information. We can call you, we can email, whatever's easiest for you to connect with us. And it's a free service. We can also accommodate anyone who doesn't have good internet access. And again, we also have the translation services available. And those are our numbers, 855-FBC-FARM or the Flower Hill number below.
En caso de necesitar o estar interesado en servicios de asistencia técnica, nos pueden contactar en la página de Flower Hill Institute. El servicio es gratuito, y nos pueden solicitar la información a través del formulario que tenemos en nuestra página, que lo llenan y después nosotros los contactamos a ustedes. También hay disponibilidad de asistencia para aquellos sin acceso a Internet y, por supuesto, nos podemos comunicar vía telefónica. Los teléfonos son 855 FBC Farm o 720-220-7720. Y con gusto los asistimos.
And so one reason why it's really important to find out if that 860 form works for you as a socially disadvantaged farmer is because there are resources and programs for discounted crop insurance. And we can let you know about more of those sort of intricacies of the program. There's also resources on farmers.gov. That's a great place to also sign up for their emails because they can email you news that's coming up about the program. This program was recently had an extended deadline date, and that's how I found out about it. Was they sent an email blast, and I was able to find out that the program had been extended. So that's a great resource for farmers to become familiar with. FLAG is a group out of Minnesota that does a lot of legal advocacy work, and they've made a guide for this program that's really helpful to kind of explaining And we'll answer some very specific questions. If you have complicated questions, that's a really good resource that's free and available to anyone online. The FSA has a lot of information about emergency relief programs. And then we recently launched at the FEC an FSA toolkit that's about 30 different resources. And that also includes a link to translated materials. So there are FSA forms in Spanish, and then a bunch of other languages, including Somali, French, Italian, all different languages available. And that's at our FEC website.
Tenemos muchísimos programas y recursos disponibles para los interesados, en este caso a través de las diferentes páginas y las oficinas y los grupos de colaboradores como Flower Hill Institute, Veteran Coalition y demás. Pero en este caso, si ustedes son uno de los miembros de este grupo de favorecidos, que es importante que llenen el formulario CCC 860, porque pueden tener descuentos en coberturas de seguros. Y si necesitan más recursos y más información, tenemos varias páginas detalladas en esta presentación donde pueden conectarse por asistencia o obtener información de todo tipo disponible.
So thank you for joining us for this webinar. It's our first bilingual webinar. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. I can respond to emails within 24 hours. So feel free to message me at kate@farmvetco.org. And also feel free to reach out to Marcos, and I'll let him say goodbye for us.
Bueno, desde ya un placer haber estado presente hoy a través de virtualmente. Desde ya es nuestro primer webinario que hemos hecho. Esperamos que haya sido de su ayuda, y en caso que necesitar ayuda, no duden en contactarnos. En mi página, mi dirección de email es mperera@flowerhills.institute o mi teléfono 305-494-5091. Muchas gracias y muy buena suerte.
All right, just like they said, thank you for joining us. Again, please don't hesitate to reach out to either one of us for any assistance. We hope this video is very useful to y'all. Please share it to anyone that you think will benefit from this. And yeah, hope you all have a great day. Thank you, Kate. Thank you, Marcos.